You know someone like this. Maybe you are this person. They are intelligent, warm, genuinely caring, and they are late. Not occasionally late, not late because something went wrong, chronically, reliably, almost impressively late. You tell them the event starts at 7, so they show up at 7:45. You have learned to tell them 6:30. They still show up at 7:15. And what is maddening about it, what makes it so hard to understand from the outside, is that they are not doing it on purpose. They are not lazy. They are not disorganized in every area of their life. They just cannot seem to arrive on time, no matter how much they want to, no matter how many alarms they set, no matter how many times they promise it will be different. So what is actually going on? Is it a character flaw? Is it disrespect? Is it simply a bad habit that was never corrected? No, it is neuroscience.
And today I want to show you what is actually happening inside the brain of a chronically late person. Because once you understand it, everything about this behavior makes complete sense. And if you are the person who is always late, this video might give you the most useful framework you have ever had for understanding yourself. Let us start with the most fundamental piece of this. There is a cognitive phenomenon called the planning fallacy, first identified by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky in 1979. And it describes something that most humans do, but that chronically late people do to an extreme degree. The planning fallacy is the tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take, consistently, repeatedly, even when you have done the same task dozens of times before and know from experience exactly how long it takes. You have driven to this restaurant before, you know it takes 25 minutes. And yet, when you are getting ready to leave, your brain tells you confidently, 10 minutes. It will take 10 minutes. Why does this happen? Because when we plan for the future, our brain uses our best-case scenario as its default model. Not the realistic scenario, not the one that accounts for traffic, for the fact that you cannot find your keys, for the 3 minutes you will spend standing at the door wondering if you turned off the stove. The optimistic one, the one where everything goes smoothly. For people who are chronically late, this bias is not just present, it is dialed up significantly. Their brain is wired toward optimism about time in a way that feels completely rational from the inside. They genuinely believe they have enough time. Right up until the moment, they do not. Now here is where it gets really interesting. Because for a significant number of chronically late people, there is something happening neurologically that goes beyond optimism. And it has to do with dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's reward and motivation chemical. It is what drives you toward things that feel good, toward novelty, toward challenge. And research has consistently shown that people with ADHD, which is far more common than most people realize, and which frequently goes undiagnosed into adulthood, have a dysregulated dopamine system. Their brain does not release dopamine in response to routine, low-stakes tasks the way a neurotypical brain does. It needs intensity. It needs urgency. It needs a deadline that is real and immediate and slightly terrifying. For these individuals, running late is not just a bad habit. It is, unconsciously, a way of generating the neurological conditions they need to actually function. The pressure of being late, the racing heart, the urgency, the focus that suddenly appears when you are 10 minutes behind schedule, is not a byproduct of a problem. It is, for their brain, the solution. It is the only reliable way their nervous system knows how to activate. Think about that. The very thing that looks like dysfunction from the outside is neurologically a coping mechanism.
It is the brain doing what it has learned to do to generate enough stimulation to get moving at all. There is another dimension to this that does not get talked about nearly enough, and that is what psychologist and ADHD researcher Dr. Russell Barkley calls time blindness. Most people have an internal sense of time. Not perfect, nobody's is, but functional. You can feel roughly how long 15 minutes is. You can sense when an hour has passed. You have an intuitive relationship with time moving that helps you manage your day without having to consciously track every minute. For a meaningful portion of chronically late people, that internal clock is simply not reliable. They sit down to do something for 5 minutes and look up to find that 40 minutes have passed.
They think they just got home 20 minutes ago and realize it has been 2 hours. Time, for them, does not move at a consistent felt rate. It compresses and expands in ways that bear almost no relationship to what the clock actually says. Now imagine trying to be on time when your internal experience of time is fundamentally unreliable. It is not that they are not trying. It is that the tool most people use to stay on schedule, that felt sense of time passing, is broken. And because it has always been this way, they often do not even know it is broken. They assume everyone experiences time the way they do. I want to be honest with you about something. Because I know that some of you listening to this are not the person who is late. You are the person who is waiting, who has been waiting repeatedly for years. And you are wondering if this is just an elaborate excuse. So let me be clear. Understanding why someone is chronically late is not the same as saying it does not matter. It does matter. The experience of being repeatedly made to wait, of having your time treated as less valuable, is real and it is valid. The frustration is legitimate. The feeling that you are not being respected is understandable, even if it is not what the other person intends. But here is what the research tells us. Chronically late people are not, in the vast majority of cases, late because they do not care about you. Studies on the personality profiles of chronically late individuals consistently find that they score high on warmth, on openness, on creativity. They are often the most engaged people in the room once they arrive. Their lateness is almost never a statement about how much they value your time. It is a symptom of how differently their brain processes time itself. The person who is always late is not indifferent. They are, more often than not, genuinely mortified. They have been apologizing for this their entire lives. They have tried calendars, alarms, leaving earlier, preparing the night before, and still. Because the problem is not organizational, it is neurological. And you cannot organize your way out of a brain that does not experience time the way the world expects it to. So what do you do with this? If you are someone who is always late, the first thing I want you to do is stop treating this purely as a moral failing. It is not a reflection of your character. It is not proof that you are selfish or careless or that you do not respect the people in your life. It is a neurological pattern, and neurological patterns can be worked with, even when they cannot be entirely eliminated. The strategies that actually work for chronically late people are not the ones built for neurotypical brains. Adding more alarms does not fix time blindness. Telling yourself to try harder does not regulate a dopamine system that needs urgency to activate. What works is building external structure that does the job your internal clock cannot. Visual timers, hard deadlines, leaving so early it feels absurd, creating artificial urgency before the real urgency kicks in. And if you are the person who loves or lives with someone who is always late, understand this. Their lateness is not about you. It was never about you. And the conversation that might actually change something is not the one where you tell them they are disrespectful. It is the one where you ask, genuinely and without judgment, what does time feel like for you?
Because that question might open something that years of frustration never could. Leave a comment below. Are you the person who is always late, or the person who is always waiting? And after watching this, has anything shifted in how you see it? I read every single comment. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want more, and I will see you in the next one.